Hey, good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight at TOPS Orientation. My name's Keith Parker. I'm the principal at TOPS 612. If you didn't know, we have a unique partnership with Greenville City Schools. They're over the TOPS kindergarten through 5th grade, and Bristol is over the TOPS 6th through 12th grade. So we have a partnership with Greenville City Schools. We're entering our 13th year of existence at TOPS. So TOPS has been around for a while. I know during COVID we had a lot of virtual schools pop up around the state, around the country really. But you know, TOPS has been in existence for quite some time. So welcome. Why is everybody sitting towards the back? I promise I don't stink up here. No, we're glad you're here. We're glad you chose TOPS to be part of your students' education, and we're excited to get the year started. I have some of my teachers here with me tonight, so I want to introduce them. So when I call your name, just kind of stand up and wave at the crowd. They'll probably get mad at me, but that's all right. So I'm going to introduce our middle school ELA teacher, which is Dr. Guess. Introduce our 8th grade math and one of our middle school intervention teachers, Miss Baptist. Miss Mills is here. She's our 8th grade social studies teacher. You got a little applause there, Miss Mills. Miss Trivett is with us. She is one of our high school English teachers. Miss Barrett, she is our special education teacher. And Miss Hartsoe is at the back. Miss Hartsoe is new to TOPS. She is one of our high school math teachers. And Miss Lily is in the back. She is also one of our high school math teachers. So I can't speak highly enough about our teachers. TOPS has done a tremendous job. I believe TOPS has been a Tennessee Reward School 7 years in a row. So kudos to these teachers. They've done a tremendous job. This is only my 2nd year at TOPS. So raise your hand if this is good, if you're new to the virtual learning world, if you're brand new to online schooling. Okay, that's all right. Last year was my first year at TOPS. Prior to coming to TOPS, I was a middle school principal and an elementary school principal in Elizabethton, Tennessee. And then I took the job over here in Bristol, which is closer to my house. So the online world was new to me last year too. So we'll get through this together, and it'll be a good thing. So we'll get right into it. All right, so our first day of classes is August the 5th, which is next Tuesday. So it's coming up pretty quick. I put some things on here that are good things for you to do. Students by themselves and as well as with their teachers. With their parents. So if you don't do these before the first day of school, at the latest you need to do them obviously on August the 5th. So there's 2 ways that we communicate with our students the most at TOPS, and that's through our Google Gmail. Every one of our students has a TOPS Gmail account. Also, what's called Canvas Inbox, and I'll get into that a little bit later, but make sure that you really check that email every day, students, because that's our main line of communication with you throughout the year. You're going to have a lot of important deadlines come through in your email. Teachers just communicate with you back and forth, so you've got to check that daily. And Miss Warren, if you have not got that information about your email, that'll be coming momentarily. I think most of you have already gotten those emails with your login for your TOPS Gmail as well already. All right, so we use Canvas. That's our learning management system. So that is our main program that we do. All your classes will be on. So, your course syllabus will be on there, personalized videos from your teachers. So once you go in your dashboard, and I'll show you, we'll kind of do a tutorial here at the end. I'll show you what the Canvas looks like. Raise your hand if you've used Canvas before. So our previous Bristol students in here have used Canvas because that's what we use in the brick and mortar in Bristol as well. So just explore Canvas, see if you see any issues, and let us know if there are. And towards the end of the orientation, I'm going to give you a couple of dates that I've already put on the calendar that I'm going to be available in Miss Warren for a live Zoom. If you have technology needs, you have some issues pop up, you just pop in and we can help you. All right, so one thing that's good to do with your parents is check your courses. Obviously, your course syllabus, which is going to be on the home page of every class that you're in. Your teachers do a great job putting those course syllabuses on the home page. A little bit of information about them, when their live classes are if you're in middle school, when their office hours are. There are good ways to communicate with them. Lots of different information on the course syllabus. So it's a great thing to do. Sit down with your parents, go through your course syllabus. And like I said, just spend some time exploring Canvas in your courses. I think too, it would be good to just introduce yourself to your teachers. Just shoot them a quick Canvas inbox message. One thing we pride ourselves with at TOPS is forming relationships with kids in an online setting. There are lots of different online options in the state around the country, but we don't feel like they all. You're not able to develop the relationships with your teachers as you can with TOPS. So we really pride ourselves in that. So take advantage of that. Introduce yourself to your teachers, get to know them, because it'll benefit you throughout the year. Also, it's so important to talk about how you're going to make a schedule, how you're going to spend each day. I will say, TOPS is difficult. I believe that being a TOPS student is oftentimes more difficult than being at a brick and mortar school. You've got to be very disciplined. You've got to create your own schedule, and you've got to stick to it. You've got to. What I like to do, if you're like me, you make a schedule and you just check it off throughout the week when you've done your assignments. Your assignments can really snowball on you real quick if you get behind. So you really got to stay on top of it if you want to be successful at TOPS. Just like at a brick and mortar. The principal or anyone inside the school might come on the intercom in the mornings and do morning announcements. What I do every Monday morning is I put out a video with me telling you important things to remember for the week, or maybe some things that are coming down the pipe weeks in advance. And what I do is I post that to my YouTube channel, which is up here. It's just at Keith Parker TOPS. There's lots of different videos on that YouTube channel. There's a lot of how-to videos, like creating a Canvas Observer account, which I'll explain that in a little bit. How to clear your cookies and cache, how to do all sorts of things I've put on there to kind of make it easy for you. Also, I will post the announcement video on Canvas as well as email it to the parents. So you can, you know what's going on in our school. You can kind of help your student keep up with things. So I send that out every Monday morning. As always, just call and email for help. This is a 12-month position for Ms. Warren and myself, so we're in the office, most days. So just reach out. Okay, now what I don't want you to get overwhelmed with all this. Some of our students that have been Bristol students before, you'll get the hang of this real quick because you've done it before. We might have some students in here that have not been Bristol students. Maybe you're from Kingsport or closer to Bristol. But you're going to have a TOPS Gmail account, which is your last name, first initial, middle initial, at TennesseeOnlinePublicSchool.org. I know that's a mouthful. You'll get the hang of it pretty quick. You're also going to have a login for ClassLink, which is ClassLink is basically your one-stop shop for everything. So once you log into ClassLink, you'll have all these little icons that you click on, and you'll automatically be logged in to whatever you need. So you just have to initially log into ClassLink. And I'll show you what that looks like as well. So Mastery Connect, there'll be a link for Mastery Connect on ClassLink as well. A lot of our teachers use Mastery Connect for assessments. It's a good way that we can track our students' progress. With different trackers, we can see which standards they're struggling at. So you'll, depending on the class you're in, you'll do a lot of assessments on Mastery Connect as well. Each student and parent will get a PowerSchool account. It's a great place to keep up with your students' attendance. as well as their report card grades. So we don't send out physical copies of report cards at TOPS. For our high school students, you'll be able to check your final grades at the end of the semester, and for our middle school students, you'll get a grade at the end of each quarter. And I don't believe Ms. Warren has sent out your logins for ClassLink Power School yet. If you were a Bristol student, that will be coming more than likely at the beginning of next week. So I can't speak highly enough the importance of parents creating that Canvas Observer account. Now what that is I said Canvas is our learning management system for our students where they take their classes, they do all their work. So for a parent when a parent creates a Canvas Observer account, they're really just seeing what their student sees. So when they log in, they'll have their own username and password. They'll see exactly what their student sees. So especially for our students that are brand new to the online world, it's so important for the parents to create that account and stay on top of them a little bit to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing and spending their time wisely. And Canvas is great. We can see exactly what's going on. There's timestamps to everything. Also, for our middle school students, you'll be involved in live classes. So you'll take one ELA, or you'll have one ELA, one math, one science, one social studies, and one related arts live class a week. And that will be on your teacher's syllabus on their Canvas homepage. But obviously you will not have any live classes this first week. Your teacher will let you know when those will start and what day those will be. More times than not, what we aim to do is, for instance, if you have 8th grade social studies with Ms. Mills, and let's say she has a live class Tuesday at 9 a.m., her goal is to have that every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Sometimes something might come up. A lot of our teachers, we have full-time teachers, and we also have over 30 adjunct teachers. Now, what an adjunct teacher is, they teach in the brick and mortar throughout the day, and they teach TOPS as well. So they would have their live classes in their office hours during their planning period. So sometimes things come up inside the school building. Their principal inside the school building might have a meeting with the teachers last minute, and they might have to reschedule that meeting. But they'll put it out. They'll let your student know via on Canvas announcements or some way. They'll let you know if that class gets moved to a different time. Okay, but like I mentioned before, our Bristol, Tennessee City Schools new student logins, those won't be available till next week. We can't actually start the transfer process until Monday. So Monday comes around. If you were supposed to go to Tennessee Middle, we would transfer you over officially to TOPS on Monday. So it's just a process with lots of moving parts and pieces. Just be aware that please keep an eye on that email in the next week, because a lot of things are going to be coming your way. Okay, you might be wondering, this is an online school, but what supplies do I need? Well, obviously you're going to need, your normal supplies that a brick and mortar student would need. You would need your, something to write with, paper, notebooks, and I can't stress the importance. I'm probably going to say this another 5 times tonight, the importance of having a planner. Some way to organize your assignments for the week. So our parents, I would encourage you to buy a planner for your student, something they can use. If you're not able to purchase a planner, maybe just make your own on a sheet of paper for the week. Something they can help keep their assignments organized weekly. And whenever you have math, let's say you're a high school student, you're going to need a TI-84 Plus calculator. Middle school students, TI-30X. Now, the reason for that is those are the calculators that the state allows on standardized testing. So we want our students to get familiar with those calculators throughout the year, and then they'll be able to use those when it comes to TCAP time or whenever they take their EOC if they're in high school. Our middle school students, when you have Dr. Fine for art, she'll let you know what supplies you need, so don't worry about that right now. So whatever 9 weeks you have art, she'll let you know what supplies you need. Obviously, you're going to need a laptop or a computer. We have found that our students that try to be a top student with a tablet, they're not very successful. It does not show up the best. Sometimes looking at things on the tablet are a little wonky. So you can get something as simple as a Chromebook at Walmart. Those aren't that expensive. I think they're around $100, $150 for a Chromebook. If you're a Bristol, Tennessee city school student, you get a Chromebook provided by the district, and I'm going to pass those out at the end of our presentation. But unfortunately, if you're not a Bristol student, you have to provide your own device. Also, it's beneficial if you're one to like to have physical papers in front of you and work on those, and then maybe transfer the information over to the computer. It'd be beneficial for you to get a printer at home as well. Okay, social media. We don't use our Instagram as much as our Facebook, but I wanted to put it on here to show you what our handle is on Instagram. On our Facebook, it's just simply Tennessee Online Public School. There's a Facebook page for the elementary tops as well, but if you just search Tennessee Online Public School, it will be ours. And one thing about Facebook, if your student is doing something cool outside of school, let's say, for instance, they're involved in an extracurricular that's neat. Like, for instance, we had a student this past year that we highlighted on our Facebook page that was on American Ninja Warrior. He went to Las Vegas. He was on the show. He actually made it and pressed the buzzer. It's pretty cool. He lives in Churchill, not far from here, and it's his second time being on American Ninja Warrior. So anything that you're doing outside of school, or even cool things you do in school, you send us some information about it in your picture. With parent permission, we'll highlight you on our Facebook page. We love to highlight our students as much as we can. Okay, now, students don't make fun of me. Sometimes they make fun of me when I say this word, swag. Okay, we do have a store on our website, so there's a link on there. We don't make any money off the merchandise that's sold, but it's just there if you'd like to purchase some, t-shirts, sweatshirts, anything with our Tops logo. It's on there for you to purchase, and you can get it shipped straight to your house. Okay, our website went under some construction last year. The district went to a new provider, so our website changed as well. But our landing page is still the same. It's just tops.education. Try to keep it very easy, very simple for our parents and students to remember. Once you get to tops.education, you will see two links. Tops K5, Tops 612. Just click the Tops 612. That takes you to our website. We have a lot of things on the website. We really I try to keep it up to date and current as much as I can. There's a lot of information on there. All your teachers' pictures are on there with their email addresses. Links to PowerSchool, ClassLink, the school calendar's on there. So we really, really try to make it convenient for our parents and our students to everything to be at their fingertips. So take advantage of that. Okay, our middle school students, you'll get some information about this the first couple weeks of school. Our middle school students all have to take the Universal Screener. What that is, it's a test to see if RTI is needed. RTI is response to intervention. So if a student scores at a certain percentile, there'll be some additional testing done just to see if they need some extra support in the classroom. So I can't stress enough the importance of trying your best, students, on that Universal Screener. Really anything you do at Tops, but for any kind of assessment, you really got to try your best. Because if, let's say that, let me just put it in, easy to understand terminology. So let's say, for instance, you could make a 99 on the assignment, and you go in, don't try, and you make a 32. We're not going to know really where you are academically unless you try your best. So just try your best anytime you do some sort of assessment or any assignment at Tops. So more information will be coming about that. Will be coming around the first couple weeks of school. Okay, just because we are an online school, you do have to come in person to test. That's a state rule. So for our middle school students, it seems like one year they might call it 10 Ready, then one year they call it TCAP, but it's the same thing. So I'm sure everyone's familiar with that. If you've been in a brick and mortar before or any public school in the state of Tennessee, you've participated in TCAPs. So, TOPS is the same. So those will happen in April, and we have a testing location in Bristol. So more than likely, unless you traveled a good distance for this orientation, you're going to be testing in Bristol, and we're going to be testing at the Slater Center. That's where we tested last year. For our high school students, they're going to take part in what's called EOCs, which is end of course test, depending on when they take the class. And there's certain classes that they take the EOC in. At TOPS, we have all our math courses are year long. So our algebra, if you're taking Algebra 1, you're going to have a Part 1 and a Part 2. But you're not going to actually take the EOC until you get to Part 2. So let's say you take Algebra 1 Part 2 this fall, you would take your EOC in December. And you take it, let's say you take biology in the spring, you would take your EOC in spring, or in April. And Miss Wooten is she's not here tonight, but Miss Wooten is our testing coordinator, so she will get out information to everyone, letting you know exactly when the testing dates are, really, really early. So you'll have that, parents will be able to put that on your calendar, and so you'll be able to get your students to here to test. For our juniors and seniors, we know that, taking the ACT is a state requirement for graduation. So, that's something that you have to do as well. So that's very important. It's very important to pay close attention to your homeroom period if you're in high school, especially juniors and seniors, because that's when Miss Arnold, who our counselor is, she will let you know when there will be important deadlines for scholarships, dates to sign up for the ACT, lots of different things that happen during that homeroom period. So students do not take, make sure you pay attention to that homeroom period. It's just as important as your other classes. Okay, so like I mentioned before, Canvas is our learning management system. All your work, all your instruction, all your most current up-to-date grades will be on Canvas. So the reason why those are the most up-to-date current grades, because Canvas actually syncs with PowerSchool, and sometimes when you have Canvas syncing with PowerSchool, there's a syncing process. There's a syncing mistake sometimes. So your most current up-to-date grades are always found in Canvas. So pay attention to those, and your personalized videos from your teachers, anything involving with your class that involves your class will be on Canvas. And like I mentioned before, really take advantage of the Canvas inbox. Parents, I'll go ahead and tell you, I'll show you what the Canvas inbox looks like before we leave tonight. But if you see, let's say you see the number 34 beside their Canvas inbox, that means your student has not checked their email and they have 34 missed messages from their teachers. So just keep that in mind. You really got to keep track of your email and your Canvas inbox messages. I can't tell you how many times I have went in to look at a student's Canvas. They might not have got the communication from their teacher, and I've gone in and they've had just multiple amounts of messages they have not opened. So that's so important, because you're not in front of your teacher face-to-face in the classroom every day. That's how they communicate. And I mentioned about creating that observer account. And I think one of the biggest things our students struggle with at TOPS is them looking at the feedback from their teachers. Our teachers go above and beyond and put the time in to grade the material, grade the assignments, and actually leave feedback from the students to see. A lot of times that might be feedback, corrections that the student needs to make in order to resubmit the assignment. So, and I'll show you how to look at that as well. And I've got a YouTube video on my YouTube channel showing you how to look at the feedback, where the feedback's located. But I'll go ahead and tell you, if you go to the feedback box and there's a blue dot beside it, it means your student has not opened the feedback from their teacher. So pay close attention to the feedback, and the student can actually respond to the feedback, and the teacher can respond back, so they can have a little small dialogue back and forth. They could say, you know, I've made the corrections, I've resubmitted it. So that's super important. Okay, so our weekly modules, that's what we call, you know, your assignments for the week. So those will open up on Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. So if you're a planner, you literally can go on the computer Saturday mornings, plan and set up your schedule for the week. You know, obviously you don't have to go and participate in school on the weekend, but it's there. It opens up Saturday morning at 8 a.m. You know, I encourage you to make that schedule early. If for some reason you go on there, let's say Saturday afternoon, and you see there's no assignments for your class, just shoot me a message and I'll see what's going on. Most of our assignments are due the following Friday at midnight. Okay? Now, with that being said, we do have teachers that have, you know, may choose to have a midweek due date. And that's good. That's their choice. Sometimes they choose that maybe to give the student an opportunity to make corrections and resubmit. Or, you know, to make sure they don't wait till Friday at 5 p.m. to do their work for the week. Which, number one, they're going to rush through it. You know, they're not going to be successful. And number two, they're not going to retain the material because they're not going to revisit that again to the next Friday night at 5 p.m. So do not do that. We encourage our students to treat it like a normal school day. So if you're a middle school student, you're going to do a little bit of ELA work, math work, social studies, and science work every day in whatever related arts class you have for that 9 weeks. So do a little bit each day. And again, don't let it snowball on you because it will happen quickly. So in order to be counted present, your work must be turned in on time. That's strictly how we do attendance for high school. Is your assignments turned in by the due date. And Canvas is really neat. It has a time stamp for everything. So let's say your assignments are due 11:59 p.m. on Friday night. Let's say you turn it in at 12:07 a.m. Saturday morning. It's going to say 12:07 a.m. and then it will say late. So you will have points deducted depending on what your teacher decides that, you know, what their policy is. But even if you hadn't done your work, it's still the expectation that you complete your work. Just turning it in late. Sometimes teachers will give you partial credit, but that's totally up to the teacher. I'll give you a little hint. Sometimes it depends on maybe if the student has taken advantage of that. So if a student consistently turns in work late, you know, they might not be likely to give you partial credit because, you know, eventually you've got to turn in your work on time. So just turning your work on time, your attendance will be fine. For our middle school students, your attendance is taken by turning in work on time and your attendance in your live classes. Now, with that being said, we do pride ourselves in being flexible at TOPS. We have lots of different students that choose TOPS for various reasons. They might be maybe competitive gymnast, a dancer, might do gymnastics. They travel a lot. You know, so there are things that come up. So I can't stress the importance enough of communication with your teacher. Let's say you know you're going to be out of town on Thursday at 9 a.m. and that's when your normal science class is. Communicate that with your teacher a couple of days in advance at least, and let them know what's going on. A lot of times teachers will post their video of their lesson in their Canvas course. You know, teachers will work with you. You know, if you haven't taken advantage of that, you know, they'll work with you and let you slide and not you know, turn you in for your attendance there. You just got to communicate. So really, 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 really communicate with your teachers on a daily basis. Okay, this is an example of what your Canvas course might look like. So you can see at the top it says Week 5 Module Overview. So that, you know, most of our teachers set up their modules that look very similar to this. I know Dr. Guest sets hers up pretty cutesy. She's got a lot of emojis here and there on hers. But most of our teachers set theirs up like this. So the Week 5 module overview. So that will basically, sometimes it might be a personal video from your teacher just explaining what the expectations for the week are. or it might just be in list form, but it will be just going over what your expectations for assignments for the week are. And then it's broken down into daily. So you can see there's, for this sample module, there's one assignment for each day. You might see some weeks that on Monday you might have 3 assignments. Tuesday you might have 1. That's based on the teacher knows how long it's going to take you to complete it. So maybe your 1 assignment on Tuesday is going to take you a long time, and your 3 on Monday are pretty quick. So they're going to try to set up your pacing like that to benefit you, so it's not overwhelming. So take advantage of that. You really could just take these suggested pacing guides from your teachers and transfer them over to your planner, so you could check them off. Okay, so I mentioned live classes for middle school. So our middle school students will have 1 live class a week per subject area, and our middle school teachers have 1 day of office hours in middle school. And like I said, those will take place more times than not during their planning periods. A lot of our middle school teachers are adjunct teachers, so they teach at Tennessee Middle or maybe Greenville Middle School. So they will do it during their planning period. What that is an opportunity for you to maybe receive some one-on-one instruction from your teacher. Just ask questions. So there'll be a link to, if they have a live Zoom link on their homepage for their office hours, whatever they put on there, a way to set up that time with them. Take advantage of it. If you receive a bad grade and you want some feedback and you want to ask, what did I do wrong? What can I do better? Will you show me how to make the corrections on this? That's what they're there for. So please take advantage of your office hours. They're not mandatory, but they're there for you. With that being said, our teachers make themselves available other times as well. If you send your teacher a message, they're going to get back to you in a reasonable amount of time. But like I said, a lot of our teachers are teaching inside the school building. So just be patient and give them some time. I guess what I'm saying is don't wait till Friday at 6 p.m. to start working on your assignments, and then you have a question about your homework, and then you message your teacher on Friday night at 7 p.m. You're probably not going to get a response before 11:59 p.m. So just, pace yourself. Do things in advance. And our high school teachers have 2 days of office hours. So check those days. They're on the syllabus on your Canvas page. But like I said, they're there for you. Okay, I mentioned Power School earlier. Our weekly attendance will be on there, and we are a week behind with our attendance. What that means is, let's say that this is a normal school week, okay? This is Thursday. This is a 5-day school week. Tomorrow's obviously Friday. It's the last day of the week. Our teachers wouldn't be responsible for turning in their attendance until Tuesday morning. Is that right, Tuesday morning? Or is it Monday? Tuesday. By Tuesday morning. Miss Warren, our secretary, sends out a reminder to them, letting them know when to turn in their attendance. And when your attendance gets put into Power School, she will always email the parents saying, hey, attendance is here for you to view. So you will know when you can go on there and see. If you see something wonky on there, like there's no way my student has 2 unexcused absences for the week. What's going on? Reach out to the office. And we'll look into it and let you know what's going on. I will say there's been a lot of times, like I said, Canvas has a lot of time stamps. So I've had a lot of Zoom meetings with parents, and they might say, hey, my student says they're logging in doing their work, and I'll have a Zoom meeting with them, and I'll share my screen, and I can show the parents exactly when their student has been last been active on Canvas, when they've submitted an assignment. And we might look, and maybe their student hasn't been on Canvas in 2 weeks. So really, if you have questions about attendance, just reach out to us and we'll be happy to help you and show you what's going on. The way we do attendance, and I already told you, it's just by turning your assignments on time or your attendance in live class if you're in middle school. Also, your report cards on Power School, and also it's a good place for you to update any contact information that might have changed. Let's say your phone number changed or any custody documentation, you can update that on Power School as well, but let the office know. Let us know as well when you do that. Okay, this is an example of what Power School will look like on your end. So you can see this is for a 6th grade student. We have classes there for that 6th grade student, and you have on the right Q1. So Q1 means that's the first 9 weeks for our middle school students. And also, I mean, for our high school students as well. But Q1 means first 9 weeks. Q2 means the second 9 weeks. S1 means the end of the first semester, so around Christmas time. Q3 is the third 9 weeks. Q4 is the fourth 9 weeks. And S2 is second semester at the end of the school year. And Y1 is the average of all the 9-week grades together. So our middle school students will have a Y1 grade. That's your final grade for the year. And on the right, you can see absences as well. You see tardies on this, but we really don't, obviously, we don't really do tardies at TOPS. This was just an example from a student. Okay. I've already talked to you, I got a little ahead of myself about attendance. Like I said, you've really got to pay close attention to your due dates for those teachers that really require midweek due dates. And it might fluctuate, so it's very important for you to look at your module with the day it's due. Now, I keep up with the attendance, so what happens is when Ms. Warren lets me know the attendance is done, I print out a report and I start a spreadsheet. So once our students, let's say your student has received, let's say they're at 3 unexcused absences, you will receive an email from me to your student and the parent letting you know that, hey, we're at 3 unexcused absences and this is our tiered attendance policy, our district policy. Just letting you know, when you get to 5 unexcused absences, I have to send you a truancy contract, and you and your student has to sign. And if you continue to have unexcused absences, that's when truancy gets involved, and you have to go in front of the truancy board. And you know, most of you some of you maybe that have been in the brick and mortar, familiar with that policy. It's been explained to you before. Obviously we follow school board policy when it comes to attendance. It's a state law that we take attendance. With that being said, since we are a public school, we do accept doctor's notes, okay? So let's say that you go to the doctor today. The doctor says, hey, Keith is sick. Put him out of school today and tomorrow. Just take a picture of that or scan it or whatever you want to do. Send it to the office, and we will excuse that student from, today and tomorrow if they say they can return back to school Monday. With that being said, they're still expected to complete their work when they feel better, but they just wouldn't be counted absent those days. So just keep that in mind. We do accept doctor's notes. Okay, so what can students do to be successful at TOPS? Again, make that weekly schedule, so important. Don't wait to work on assignments till later in the week. Don't be the student that waits till 8 p.m. on Friday night to do all your math homework. You'll struggle. You've got to spend some time in that class every day, each class. Have a quiet place where you can focus free of distractions. I know sometimes that's difficult. I know I have 2 daughters, 2 dogs, 2 cats, and a wife at home. It's hard for me to find a quiet place sometimes. But just work hard to find that quiet place, free distractions. Parents can help you there, someplace where you can really concentrate. Just communicate early and often with your teachers. And like I said, look at that feedback in Canvas and keep up with your grades. What can parents do to help their child be successful at TOPS? You've already taken the first step. You brought your student to orientation. I appreciate that. Create the Observer account. That's so important. Keep up with their weekly attendance. Let us know if something doesn't look right. Just talk to your student about their weekly assignments, their progress, and help them set a schedule, especially here at the beginning till they get the hang of it. Ensure the students have that time and a quiet place to work each day. Obviously, we really try to, especially at the high school level, create some, we really want our students to take the initiative to keep up with their assignments and communicate with their teachers. But with that being said, parents, obviously, you're welcome to contact the teacher too if you have any concerns. But our high school students, we really try to push that once they get that age to kind of, to really take some initiative and take ownership of their grades and reaching out to the teachers themselves. Overall, just be involved and engage in your students' learning. And everything will be great. Okay, if you're not understanding something, no worries. Just email the teacher, call us, attend office hours. We have a counselor, Miss Arnold. I'll get into more specifics about what she offers here in a second. And we have a top cell phone number, parents. You're welcome to text me if you have a quick question. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Students can send me a Google Chat. There's a feature for Google Chat in your Gmail. A lot of our students communicate that way. Maybe if they have group projects, they might create a group and chat back and forth within that group, that Google Chat. Okay. Anyone in here is anyone in the room that was accepted before July 1st and you received an email from Ms. Warren and it explained that it had the summer reading in the email? Is anyone familiar with summer reading? Okay. All right, perfect. I don't want that to stress you out. It's pretty simple. We have direct links on our website that tell you exactly what to do and what the expectations are for summer reading. Basically, you choose a novel of your choice from a selection of novels, and you do an assignment with it. And you would turn that in when you take English. So our high school students, you would turn that in whenever you have English 1, 2, 3, or 4, whenever you have English. For our middle school students, you will turn that in with Dr. Guess whenever you have ELA class with her, and she'll let you know when to turn that in. Now, if you were accepted after July 1st, you're exempt from this, so no worries there. Okay, we are an online school, but we offer lots of different clubs and opportunities for our students. We have a beta club in high school. We have a National Honor Society. And these are two great opportunities for our students to pad their resume a little bit, put on their college application they're in a leadership position. That's really good to put on your application. So I encourage you, if you meet the criteria for the National Honor Society, to apply for that. If you want to get involved in the Beta Club, Miss Lily's in charge of the Beta Club. She does a tremendous job with lots of different volunteer opportunities, service work for our students in the community. It's a great thing. Also, I have a parent advisory and a student advisory group. So what that means is once a quarter, so 4 times a year, I will meet via Zoom with parents that want to be part of that group. Basically, I bounce ideas off the parents like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this at Thompson. I'm thinking about starting this. What do you think? Parents tell us what we're doing good, what they don't like about it, and that's fine. That's what it's for. It's to brainstorm, and we have the same thing for our students that want to get involved with some leadership positions. We have, it's open to middle school and high school. So I encourage you, whenever I send out a survey, if you want to get involved in that, to respond to that survey, and you'll be part of the parent advisory board or the student advisory board. Obviously, because we are an online school, we're not Tennessee High, we're not Tennessee Middle, but you can still participate in the high school that you live closest to. You can still participate in sports. So if anyone's interested in participating in sports at your local school, just contact your athletic director at that school and they'll get you set up. I'm excited. We're starting some new clubs this year. Miss Trivett started a high school book club last year that got off and running. It was great. Dr. Guess is going to start a middle school book club. Dr. Fine is going to start a high school art club where she has some field trips, some museums and stuff planned as well. We had a cooking club. You might think, how in the world do you do a cooking club at an online school? Well, Miss Wooten made it work. So she actually got on Zoom, whatever month it was, they chose a different recipe and they cooked something in the kitchen. Obviously, they had, we had parents involved in there as well, but for our middle school students especially. But we had a cooking club, so it was pretty neat. So we have opportunities for our students to be involved and communicate and interact with other students as well. And last year we actually had a field trip. We had a family outing at the pumpkin patch. We're thinking about doing some other things this year. So opportunities for you to be able to mingle with your classmates. Some students that you might just see, our middle school students especially, you might just see them in a live class on the computer, but you actually get to see them in person and interact. So it's pretty cool. We can offer that to our kids. Okay, our counselor is Miss Arnold. So if you're a high school student, you've more than likely heard from her so far. She is in charge of all our scheduling. So our middle school students, you really don't have a choice in your schedule. It's kind of cut and dry what you take. Our high school students get a little more choice, depending on maybe what CTE path you want to go. If you want to be in dual enrollment, if you're an upperclassman, or you want to be in middle college. Whatever that is, you get more choices in high school. So Miss Arnold is the contact person for everything scheduling. I've learned a little bit about high school scheduling, but she's way more knowledgeable about me when it comes to that. So, if you ask me about it, that's fine. I'm probably more times than not going to refer you to her because she's the most knowledgeable when it comes to scheduling. Obviously, she is a certified school counselor, so she is there for any social or emotional support that our students may need. That's what she's here for as well. She is also our 504 coordinator, and I talked a little bit earlier about our seniors and our juniors really in that homeroom period. She's the teacher during that period to keep you up to date with your application deadlines and everything you need to do for whatever you want to choose to do post-secondary, whatever it is. Okay. Did anybody see the email I sent about the Open Tech Help via Zoom that I sent out? Did anybody see that email from me? Okay, excellent. So I encourage you to put this on your calendar. August 5th and 7th, I sent a link, the Zoom link, to your email. I'll just be sitting there for Miss Warren and myself will be available for 3 hours, 8:30 to 11:30, those 2 days. If you're struggling doing something technology-wise, just pop in, and I'll get you to share your screen. Okay, this is my information. So we have... if you weren't aware, we actually have, my TOPS office is actually at a house. It's directly across the street from where you're sitting right now. It's called the TOPS house. So that's our office. So there's an office number and there's the TOPS cell phone. So you can text it anytime. Feel free if you have any questions, concerns, shoot me a text and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Okay, I'm going to show you a few things on my computer, then we'll get into it and see if you have any questions. So I mentioned my YouTube channel. This is a good resource for you. So I said I've got, how-to videos on there, how to check for missing assignments, how to view teacher feedback, how to create a PowerSchool account, Canvas Observer account, how to check your Canvas inbox. And this might sound funny, but the majority of our problems are solved by having students clear their cookies in cache. That's crazy as it sounds. A lot of times when things look wonky, we'll tell them to clear their cookies in cache and it works. And everything shows up great. Yes, sir, you have a question?
Sorry to interrupt you. Before you close out, can you show the contact info again?
Sure. So on that YouTube channel as well, I post, those are my announcements from last year. I post those on there, and we have actually videos. Our teachers put videos for our high school awards and our middle school awards. Our high school teachers have awards at the end of each semester where we recognize our outstanding students in their classes. So we put all that stuff on here as well. So I'll put that on there. There it is. I'll let you take a picture of it. All right, just a couple of key things I want to show you here before I let you go. All right, so I want to show you what all right, so obviously I said TOPS.education. Click on 612. It has all sorts of things on here. If our parent, if let's say you graduate in the future and you need a transcript sent to the college that you're applying for, you can come on here and fill out a transcript request. For our students that are applying for their permit or their driver's license, come in here and fill out this form for a driver's permit request. It comes to us, and I'll get you the form that you need to take to the DMV. Sometimes our students, work during the school day because it's a flexible environment, and your employer will require a work permit letter. So you fill that out, and I will type up a letter and send that your way. You take it to your employer. Basically, it states that due to the flexibility of our school, you're available to work at, during the normal school hours. So there's all sorts of things on here. And while I'm looking at this right now, let me go and just highlight a few things. Our attendance policies on here, our academic probation guideline is on here, the grades and whatnot that a student has to maintain to not get put on academic probation. Our academic integrity policy, which is, artificial intelligence, AI, students using AI to plagiarize their assignments, our policies on there. There's all sorts of things on here, so use this to your advantage. Our school calendars on here, so really use that to your advantage. I know that was a lot of information really fast. So we'll take some time. So, we'll get you squared up eventually. So if you have some struggles there at the beginning, it's fine. We'll work with you. Do we have any questions? Yes, sir.
Do they have cultural days or whatever? How do we put it in? Do they have a trip coming up in a couple weeks?
Yes, sir. So we have the same thing, that you would have at a brick and mortar in Bristol. So just let us know that, and I can put that in. Yes, sir. I'm saying, yeah.
What was the question? What was he asking about?
He was asking about different days, maybe if it's like a bereavement day or a cultural day, stuff like that. Yeah.
I also have a question on that.
Yes, sir.
So, you mentioned an attendance regarding doctor's notes and excused absence. Is there any kind of protocol for like a family field trip and having that pre-approved as a excused absence?
Each parent is allowed so many parent notes a year. So that would go into a parent note. Yeah, so they're allowed five parent notes. So that's no big deal. Yes. A lot of times, what we'll do is if your student has missed a class, and I reach out after those 3 unexcused absences, the parents will say, I would like to use 3 of my parent notes. They can go quickly, but we try to keep our students out of truancy at the beginning as much as possible. So we'll use those parent notes because they're available. But once those are gone, you have to have doctor's notes in order to not get to truancy trouble. Do I have any other questions? Yes, sir.
So just to clarify, typically the Canvas reports come up, like you said, it was on Saturdays that those come out, or Sunday?
Yes, sir. Saturday morning at 8 a.m.
But this week, we won't get those until Monday, right?
Thank you for bringing that up. I failed to mention that. So since this is the first week of school, first week of classes, actually I do not require the teachers to have their classes published until Tuesday morning at 8 a.m., which is the first day of class, Tuesday. So Bristol, the brick and mortar, they come back to school on Monday. Our top students start classes on Tuesday. So their classes are not published until Tuesday morning. They don't have to be published until Tuesday morning. So this first week, you will not see assignments posted until Tuesday morning, but normally Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Yes, thanks for bringing that up. Any other questions? Okay, in just a second, I'm gonna dismiss those that are not Bristol, Tennessee City School students. If you are a Bristol, Tennessee City School student, I'd like you to stay because I need to go over what's called our return to in-person learning policy. It's a little contract that I need our students and parents to sign before you leave, and I'll go over the logistics of that. So if you're not a Bristol City student, you're free to leave. Thank you for coming.